So I'm going to go to chat and comments, and fingers crossed people start. Right. Right, we're live. Brilliant. Thank you, Stace. Okay. Hi, everyone. Not that everyone's here at the moment, but hopefully you'll come on. I'll get some mediumistic readings done and maybe some cards. I haven't done cards on a live before, so it'll be something different for me. Hi, Shannon. How are you? Nice to see you here. Hi, Tracy. If anyone wants a reading, just say. As I say, just say if you want a reading and I'll see what I can do. I am open if there's a message for me. Okay, Shannon, let's have a go. Okay. Right. Shannon, I want to say an elderly lady because she looks elderly, but she's actually not as old as she looks, if that makes sense. She's got your typical white, like, I want to say set hair, if that makes sense. But I'm near positive that she's not as old as what she looks. Because she's telling me she was young at heart and she's got or had a young spirit about her. She had a knack of getting down on everyone's level, if that makes sense. She's telling me that she's your nan, and I believe, I want to say your dad's side, but I might be wrong because that's new to me. I'm working new with spirit, so I was going to say your dad's side. As I say, it might be wrong, but it's your nan anyway. I get. Okay. She's given. Well, I don't know if she's given me the name, but she's definitely dropping in the name. It's either Elsie or Elspeth. Is either her name or linked to her or someone in the family. Your dad's mum's in spirit. Okay, it's your dad's side. Okay. As I say, she's given me the name either Elsie or Elspeth or else. It's like it's something. No, it's Elsie or Elsie, or I've got a lisp. Elsie, Elsie or Elspeth. Elspeth is coming. It's more stronger than anything else. If that makes sense to you, Shannon. If there's any of that names in the family, okay, right. She's actually a joker because she's laughing about the lisp. She's actually given me the lisp, which makes me think that she's got a lisp, or had a lisp. So yeah, there's a definite speech impediment with her. If you can understand that, okay. Right, she's talking about your first pair of school shoes. Okay, this is either a memory with you or she was the one that took you or bought your first set of school shoes when you first went to school. And she's talking about when you were like 4 or 5 years old. And she's saying about school shoes and things back then were made to last. You only got it like once a year, if that makes sense to you. She's also talking about she made this a family tradition that she would get all the kids their first school shoes. Does that make any sort of sense to you, Shannon? This is what she's talking about, and she's talking about something that she wanted to do, if that makes sense, and this is what she done. She's also talking about memories of when you were kids, and obviously not just you, but there are other kids around, and she's talking about like getting down on your level and playing with you and playing like board games with you, playing jigsaw puzzles with you, teaching. Another big thing she wanted to do with the grandkids is teach them to tell the time. So she's talking about that. She's also given me I want to say upper stomach. I won't say chest, but upper stomach issues, like gallbladder or that sort of area that she's given me. She's making me very aware of my gallbladder area. I think your pancreas is under there as well. I might be wrong, but it's under the V. Is what she's so she obviously suffered in that area. She's also talking about. She's given me the name of Mr. Tiddles, Mr. Tiggles, Mr. she's given me an impression of a teddy bear, and she's given me the name of Mr. Tiddles or Mr. Tiggles or something like that. So yeah, as I say, if you can understand this teddy bear, yeah, I was going to say it is a cold evening, Paul, but I've got a t-shirt on. I was just turning the heating up. So yeah, she's talking about a teddy bear called Mr. Tiddles, Mr. Tiggles, something, or Mr. Tibbles, or something like that. As I say, she's talking about this teddy bear. So I assume that you had a teddy bear by this name, or one of you did at very least. You know of it. Okay. She's talking about right. Okay. She's getting quite serious. She's usually quite light-hearted, if that makes sense. But she's coming through now, and she says, "I'm being on a serious or a more serious note." Is the words that she's using. There's someone, you or someone around you, and I believe it's more someone around you that has to. They need to grow up. Would that make sense to you, Shannon? There's someone around you that's acting very childish for their age. They're acting very sort of immature, and she's telling them that they need to grow up. And it's like, I don't want to say they're going off the rails, because that's maybe too. Yeah, I don't think she's saying they're going off the rails, but whoever is around you, they need to act more their age. They need to grow up. They're acting very, very immaturely over something at the moment, and this is what she's saying. You need to get it through to them that they need to grow up. The people will only take so much off of them if you can make any sort of sense of that. People only take so much before they'll turn, and so they need to grow up before this happens, if that makes sense. And that's basically the message. She's quite adamant that this needs to happen, if that makes sense. And I thank you. I feel validated. That's what she's saying. She's saying that she's basically saying she's not the only one that sees that. She's not the only one that knows that this person needs to grow up. So I take it by you saying validated, you're the person that has been saying this and knows this, if that makes sense. So she's saying that it needs to be done, and it needs to be done ASAP, basically. Otherwise, things are going to backfire sort of big time. And she can see that happening, and she doesn't want it to happen. So as I say, I don't know how to get. She's saying she doesn't really know how to get the message across, but if they don't grow up, it's gonna backfire. That's all she keeps saying. Yes, I have been seeing this in someone very close to me. Okay, you're gonna have to try and get the message across without being too in their face. You're too in their face, and they'll just back off from you. But you have to do it sort of. She's actually saying that you're very spiritual yourself, and to ask your spirit guides for help with this. If your spirit guides can connect with their spirit guides and get them to sort of acknowledge it through that way, if that makes sense, because the person that you're speaking about won't listen. They just won't listen. They are closed off to anyone, not anyone advising them. That's wrong. But if they take it as a criticism, they're worse, if that makes sense. So this is the only way you can do it, as I say, is meditate, speak to your spirit guides, and your spirit guides will contact their spirit guides, and do it that sort of way. And with that, I'll leave her love with you. Thank you so much, Grandma. I'm in tears. Thank you for the message. Oh, as I say, I'm so glad that you understood it. As I say, because as I say, she come through lovely, light-hearted, and then she just said that this is serious. And as I say, that was the message. So thank you so much, Shannon. And I'll leave her love with you. And it's real love. As I say, my heart's just expanding for you. So as I say, it's real love that I'm sending from your nan, from your grandma. Okay, thank you. Right, who else have we got? Hi Patrick. Hi Nicole. Hi Tracy. Right, would love a reading. Okay, Tracy. Right, I'm going to try with my tarot cards. And then I'm going to see if I can bring anyone through. Okay, so Tracy Horn. Well, who do we need to, what does Tracy need to know tonight? Right. Okay, right. I've got the 4 of Cups here for you. Okay, it's the first time I've tried it this way. So if it doesn't work, I won't try it again. So Tracy, I've got the 4 of Cups for you, okay? And it's saying that there's been a few missed opportunities lately. You're actually, you can't see the wood for the trees, if that makes sense. You can't see, like the man is sitting in the 4 of Cups, he's sitting on a hill under a tree basically, and somewhat there's a hand comes out and it's handing him a cup, but there's 3 in front of him as well, and he's not seeing it for, he's so engrossed in himself at the moment because he's full of frustration and weariness, if that makes sense. And with that, I've got a gentleman coming through, and right, stop licking your feet. Yeah, with that, I've got a gentleman coming through, okay, and he's given me military vibes, okay. I want to say a khaki. I want to say he's in a khaki outfit, which tells me it's the army. I might be wrong on that, but as I say, I fully believe the khaki is the army. Okay, right. As I say, I've got this gentleman through. He's standing here in a khaki uniform with his hat and everything on, and he's telling me when I spoke about, as I say, you can't see what's in front of you for just missed opportunities, that sort of thing. He's saying exactly the same thing. I'm actually finding this quite weird doing it this way because I've never done it this way before. In fact, I'm not even going to look at my card. I'm just going to listen to him because then I know what I'm doing. Okay, right. Right. He's talking about. As I say, he's talking about what the card was talking about. Missed opportunities. There's been missed opportunities. There's something been handed to you. No, it's not been handed to you, but it's been there for you to accept, if that makes sense. And you've like missed the opportunity of something. I actually believe it's regarding a job or something. It's like it's been there, but you haven't really noticed it and you haven't grabbed it, if that makes sense. And he's saying that the opportunity will come along again. It's not often the same opportunity comes along, but this time go into it with your eyes open, go into it aware that the opportunity is there for you to take, if that makes sense. Yeah, you understand, that's good. And as he's saying, this time just make sure, as I say, that you're going in with your eyes open, you know exactly what the opportunity is, and he's saying grab it with both hands. He says, because he said usually these opportunities do not come around twice, and he's saying you're very, very lucky that this one has or is coming around. He's saying, so grab it. He's also given me the name Michael. Michael I want to say Mikey rather than the Michael. Okay, which makes me think of a younger person with a name like Mikey, if that makes sense. Okay, he's also saying that the opportunity will better your finances. He's saying because finances are tight at the moment. He's saying they're not just tight for everyone. He said, but you are finding a bit short at the moment. Michael was your granddad. Okay. Okay, and was your granddad or someone around him in the military? Because as I say, I'm seeing him or someone with military uniform on, unless he just liked dressing, as I say, in like that khaki green colours. I don't know, but he's saying that as I say, money is tight at the moment. There's bills coming out of everywhere, and there's not enough money to go around, if that makes sense. He's saying, and you're also worried a little bit by Christmas, and he's saying not to worry. He said, at the end of the day, you'll have a Christmas dinner, you'll have people around the table, and he said that's all that counts. That's all that matters at the end of the day. He said, in people's memories, they don't remember their presents, but they remember at the time around the Christmas table, basically, and said that's what counts. He's saying, so he's saying, don't worry about Christmas, it'll look after itself. He's also given me the name. Sounds to me like he's saying Dora. You know, like Dora the Explorer. Yep, it sounds like he's saying Dora the Explorer. I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe you'll understand that yourself, Tracy. I'm not sure what that means at all. Okay. Okay. And he's talking about spilt milk. Right. What about spilt milk? He's saying the saying, "Don't cry over spilt milk." He's What are you saying about it though? Okay. He's saying, have you been crying lately? You don't know Dora. Okay, I'm not quite sure what he meant by Dora either, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's what it sounded like, Dora. Not the explorer bit, but just Dora, if that makes sense. Okay. Right, he's saying you've been crying or you've been down lately. Yeah, Dora the Explorer is a cartoon. You've been down lately, and he's talking about crying over spilt milk. In other words, I'm not quite 100% sure myself what crying over spilt milk means. I think it's just not a saying, but a crying over nothing as such, but crying over something simple that's easy cleaned up, easy sorted. Don't waste your tears is what he's trying to say, I think. That's what I'm taking from it. So Tracy, I'll leave his love with you, and he doesn't want you to be upset. He wants you to know that Christmas is going to be okay, and it is what it is what he's saying, if you can understand that. Okay, I will leave his love with you, Tracy, and thank you so much for working with me. That's ginger and rhubarb juice, and I'm not sure of it. Right. Okay, right, where are we? Right. Ellie Marsden, anything for me, please? I'd love a reading. Right, Ellie. Ellie. Okay. Ellie, do you have someone that you could class as an auntie in the spirit world? Because I'm just hearing the word aunt, not auntie, but excuse me, aunt. I'm getting that she was quite I don't want to say posh. I don't want to say posh, but she certainly wasn't common. If that makes sense, that sounds. I don't know how it sounds, but you can understand what I'm trying to say. She was. Trying to think of that actress's name, the one that played Mrs. Bouquet. You know, some people, her name was Bucket, and she called herself Bouquet. So therefore, she was common, but she didn't like people to think that she was common. So what's the name of the program? I can't think what the name of the program is. Someone will know it. Not in spirit, you don't know. Okay. Well, I'm getting this lady through. Okay. And as I say, she thinks she's something she's not. She acted refined. Yes. Yeah. And I can't think what on earth the TV program was. But as I say, keeping up appearances. That's it, Stace. I couldn't think of. And Ali put it there. Thank you. Right, keeping up appearances. Yeah, she had, as I say, she thought she was something she wasn't. She used to pretend that she was posh and everything else, but she actually came from, I don't know, it was a comedy. But as I say, I'm just getting across that this lady, is coming across like this, that she's coming across that she liked to think she was something she wasn't. Does that make any sort of sense to you, Ellie, at all? I don't know what my purpose is. Can you get a message? Okay, I'll try my best, but as I say, let me work with Ellie first. Right, as I say, you don't know anyone like that in spirit at all, because as I say, she's coming across as just Mrs. Bouquet. Okay. If you don't know who it is, I'm gonna. Anyone else? Does anyone else understand who I'm speaking about? If anyone can understand first, no, I don't know who it could be. No, that's fine. I'd prefer you to be honest with me. Right. So anyone else could understand this lady that's coming across like Mrs. Bouquet, Mrs. Bucket, the one that as I say, she thinks she's something she's not. Does anyone else understand this? I mean, she looks nothing like her. It's just her attitude of, as I say, thinking that she's some high class woman, and she's not. Does anyone understand it? Patricia Routledge. Tricia Routledge. Am I looking up the... No, okay, I'm not seeing. Okay, right. I'll ask this lady to I'll ask Mrs. Bouquet to step back. Right. Okay. Ah, okay. She played Mrs. Bucket. Okay, Stace. Fair enough. I couldn't work out what you were going on about. I was looking for that name going up, thinking it was them that needed the message. Never mind. Right. Right. So where are we? I was with where was she? Hannah. No, it wasn't Hannah. It was Ellie. Ellie Marsden. Okay. Right. I'll see if I can get anyone else for you, Ellie. Okay. Right. Okay. Right, Ellie. Do you know of any... Right, I've got an elderly man, right? And I want to say elderly because he was elderly when he passed. He was certainly in his 80s. And he either worked down the coal mines or he worked with coal, because he's black. And I mean, you know, his hands is black with coal dust. His face is like black with coal dust. And as I say, he either worked down the mines or he worked like carrying coal for people, you know, just like selling coal with coal on his back. Does that make any sort of sense to you, Ellie? As I say, I've got this man, and he's quite a small man in height, but right, he had a real good strength with him, if you know what I mean, like upper body strength. He's also telling me that when he wasn't, it's the coal that he worked in, because he's saying when he wasn't delivering coal, he was boxing, and I actually think it's street boxing or something like that. It wasn't in a ring. It was like just street boxing. Because as I say, his muscles is, although he's little in stature, he was broad and full of muscles, if that makes sense. I do have my nan who died 2 days ago a year, but she wasn't like who you're explaining. Okay, Ellie, no, that's fine. Are you understanding this man that I'm speaking of? This man's come through for you, Ellie. As I say, he worked with coal, and he done like street boxing or street fighting in his like his spare time, and box for the pit. Okay, right, okay, that's... I wonder if it's you. Right, did he work with the coal, Stace? Did he? Right, Ellie's saying yeah as well. Okay, right. As I say, this gentleman worked with the coal. He's black. As I say, he's black as the ace of spades. He's got real grimy hands with the coal. He's got black all over his face with the coal. He wore a little cap, and as I say, I'm seeing him with a coal bag on his back. And he was definitely a good fighter. You know, he could fight. He could, and he won his fights as well. And as I say, it's more like street fighting than... are you able to see my comments? I can see that comment. Yeah, yes, he did. He worked with coal, but he's still here. Okay. What about a further generation down the line? His father, would he worked with coal as well, Stace? Because it's not very often you get to I bring someone through, obviously, who's still here. So I wonder if his generation back or whatever worked with coal as well. He only lost one fight. Yeah, this bloke, he's telling me that he won all his fights. He was just he was at his strongest in, like, I want to say he's late 30s, 40s, and he's making me sit here with fists, if you know what I mean. And as I say, I want to say 30s, 40s, and I want to say, as I say, he was a good fighter. He was telling me that he could be a dirty fighter. He could be anything to win the fight, to bring the money home to the family, if that makes sense, because that's what he was in it for. It was money for the family. That's all he was interested in. It wasn't the name, it wasn't the fame or anything else. It was the money in the pot, basically, is what he was doing it for, to bring home to his family. His wife had passed. This could be his brother. He passed a few months ago. Okay. Street fighter. Yeah, but right, but not working with coal. Okay. Right, I'm getting confused here. So it's either Ellie or Stace we've got someone here for. Right, as I say, this he wasn't, as I say, he's telling me, and as I say, I've gone back to It's like he was interested in nothing else but winning, because all he was interested in was the pot. He didn't care, as I say, if he got hurt, he didn't he hurt anyone or anything else, because he just wanted to make sure that his family had money to put food on the table and pay his bills. He's also talking about a bit of a at one point, not all the time, he had a bit of a gambling problem, and this is how he started out, to sort of pay his gambling bills off. And then when he realised he knew what he was doing, he could fight and he could win. As I say, he started taking the pot home after his gambling debts were paid off, if that makes sense. He did. He was one of 10. Okay. His wife passes. Could be. Right. Okay. Right. Let's get something that we can separate yous. Okay. Okay. Right. He's also telling me, and I believe it to be his wife, could read the tea leaves and read cards. And I don't think it was tarot cards. I think it was just house playing cards, you know, the ordinary, but she could read them. So he was out making money that way. She was out, she could make a few sort of pounds or pennies or whatever off of the other women in the street, as I say, by reading their cards for them and reading the tea leaves and all that, is what he's saying. It was like and there was a big family. There was a big family, and as I say, and they were just interested, and as I say, in raising their family right, and giving them what they needed. If that could, okay, cards and tea leaves. Okay, right. Right. Okay. He's going back to the boxing, okay, and he's not talking about it in a boxing capacity. He's talking about in a fight capacity. And what he's trying to say is, it's like someone, you or someone around you, is fighting for their beliefs at the moment. There's something that they need to stand up for. They need to, right, explain it properly. Right. Okay. He's saying that either yourself or someone around you is, they're not standing up for what they believe in, and they need to, if that makes sense. They need to, he's saying they need to grow up here, if that makes sense. I know that sounds abrupt, but whoever it is needs to man up and stand up for what they believe in, is fight for what they believe in. Does that make any sort of sense to any of the two of you? Someone for spirits, he didn't read cards. My granddad. Okay. Yes, you can understand that. Okay. Well, he's saying to them basically, they need to man up, stand up for what they believe in, and let people know that they're there. Let people know that they're not backing down this time, if that makes sense. It's like they've wanted to stand up for what they believed in for a while now, but they just haven't had the courage, the guts, the balls, as he would put it, because that's the way he's speaking. He's just saying it exactly the way he sees it, if that makes sense. And he's saying they need to just get up and do it, if that makes sense. And I say, yeah, you can understand that. That's good. As I say, so whoever it is, I know the dog's snoring, sorry. Yeah, so they need to, as I say, get it in their head, go for it, whatever they believe in, and let people know that that's them. Like it or lump it, this is what I believe in, this is what even I am, even, and get on with it, and people will accept it eventually. Yes, they totally ain't got the balls, but need to. Yeah, okay, right. Well, as I say, he's saying that, yeah, they need to, basically. So I think he's just letting you know that he's aware of it as well, if that makes sense. He hasn't really got any answers. He's just saying they need to get the balls and do it, basically. So I'll leave the love with you, Stace, and thank you so much for helping out with that, because I wasn't sure who it was for, but thank you. Right. Oh, she's a monkey. She's laying on. 2 minutes before I came on, she started barking and running around chasing the cats, and I'm thinking, oh no. So I picked her up and stroked her for a second, and then she's laid sleeping. So She's a wee Frenchie, wee flat nose. That's why she's making a noise. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Right, Luke, Paul, Luke. I can never pronounce your last name. Gwitchard, maybe. I don't know. Paul, anyway, or Paul or Luke. I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try with the cards again. Okay, as I say, I can't guarantee, but I will give it a go. Right, let's have a look and see. Right, Paul. Okay, right, we've got the Chariot. Okay, so the Chariot card is all about. Right, there's yin and yang. There is yellow, which is health. There's blue, which is vocal, and it's wanting to tell me. In fact, there's a man coming in, and he's telling me this card is all about overcoming obstacles. You've got obstacles. Is Paul good? Right, he's telling me that there's obstacles in your way, Paul. There's obstacles in your way for going 100% into something that you want to go into. It's like there's just something blocking. It's like, right, he's telling me it's spiritual, okay? So I'm talking about your spiritual journey. I'm talking about this sort of thing. And he's saying there's something blocking you giving it 100%. There's something that you need to shift out of the way to give your all, if that makes sense. He said, and if you could just remove that final blockage, he said the path is set out for you. He said he can see the path clearly set out for you, and it's yeah, right. I'll tell you what he's showing me. He's showing a path, and it's like a golden path. You know, the yellow brick road path. That's what he's showing me. It's like a path made of gold. So he's saying if you can get this one obstacle out of your way, then yeah, he's saying he can see you going along this path, and it will be your path. He's also given me earache. Someone around you got earache at the moment, Paul. It's either throat going into your ears or just earache. It's all in that, you know, your pipes around here. It's what he's given me it's like a virus type thing. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like it's coming from your throat up to your ears, but it's especially on one side. Okay, right. Well, as I say, he's making me aware that you've got that. That's good. Well, it's not good, but you know what I mean. Okay. Well, he's telling you heat. Put heat to the side of your. If you lay on a hot water bottle or something, he's saying put heat to ease it. He's saying that he's aware of that, and he's also saying, I think this is a father figure or a grandfather figure. This gentleman wasn't that old when he passed. I'd say he was only maybe in his 60s at a push. And he's saying he had trouble with his ears. And that's why he's telling you about the heat. Been having problems on the right ear. Okay. Well, as I say, it's my right ear that I keep going to. It's funny because I'm left-handed. I would normally go to my left ear, but I keep going to my right. So that's good. That's your right ear. Okay. He's saying that he had problems with his ear, both his ears, when he was on the earth plane. He said that right from when he was younger, he had earache and all problems in all the pipes around here. This is why he's given me the pipes, basically. You know, your I don't know what you call them, but from your throat up to your ears to your nose, your ear, nose, and throat, basically. And he had problems all in that area growing up. And what he's saying is he believes that you the one that you're deaf in. Okay, well, this is what I think what he's trying to say, that he was sort of the same. He was sort of very sort of hard of hearing because of, as I say, there was like blockages and whatnot and he's had them sort of all his days, if that makes sense. So I don't know if you've had the blockage or the deafness or whatever sort of since you was young, but he was 66 when he passed. And yes, okay, right. Well, this is what he's saying. He's saying that he had problems all his days, and he said the best thing that he could tell you to do, as I say, is put heat to the ear, sort of lay on a hot water bottle if you can, and that's what he's concerned about. He's concerned about, as I say, that you're but you're in pain at the moment. You was born deaf, so you've had that all your days as well. Okay. Okay. He's also saying that you need a bit of self-discipline, Paul. He's saying your mind can wander at times. He's saying that he said you get yourself interested in something, and he says if it doesn't keep your interest 100%, your mind wanders. And he's saying you just need a little bit of self-discipline. He says, and once you get that self-discipline, he said, I think maybe that's something to do with some of that blockage that I was talking about earlier on as well. Because he's saying once you get a bit of self-discipline, he said that blockages will come away as well, if that makes sense. He said because he really wants to see you on this yellow brick road, and he can see you on this yellow brick road. He said, but you just need to have a bit more self-confidence, a bit more self-discipline, and just get rid of that obstacle, the blockage obstacle that I was. If you can get rid of that, he says he can see you, and he said he can see you going far. So I'll leave his love with you, Paul, and thank you so much for working with me. Okie doke. I've got an actual sore throat. I don't know if your ear, are you starting to get chesty with it? Because I'm just feeling chesty, unless he was chesty as well. But as I say, I'll leave his love with you anyway, Paul, and thank you so much for working with me. Right, Krish, are you still here? You jumped out at me just at the same time as Paul. Krish. Right. Krish Pillay. Yes, there you go. Right, that's fine. Okay. Just give me a minute. Oh, there's one flew out. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. I don't know where that come from, but never mind. Right. Okay. Right. I've got the 5 of Cups for you. So let me see. Right. The 5 of... Right. The 5 of Cups, okay? It jumped out. And it's talking... The 5 of Cups to me means sort of a lot of regret. Sort of looking back with regret, if that makes sense. And sometimes there's change on the horizon, but it's like unwanted change. It's like you don't really want that change. You're quite content the way you are, if that makes sense. Okay, and with that, a lady's coming in. Okay, I have this beautiful lady, and she's dressed. The only way I can describe it, Krish, she's dressed in like a beautiful red and golden like sari, but it's over her head as well. And she's got, I was going to say flat shoes on, but she hasn't got shoes on. Under the sari, I'm just seeing the tips of her toes, so it doesn't look to me like she's got shoes on. Okay, as I say, this is red, beautiful satin, silky. It's silk, and it's got like golden. It's like, I can't even think. I don't think it's birds or anything, but it's like just golden patterns sewn into it. If that, you can take this lady. Good. Absolutely beautiful lady. She's got the most bone structured face. You can see her cheekbones. You can see. She's just got, the only way I can describe it, as I say, you can just, her face is very structured, very, as I say, you can see her cheekbones, you can see her eye sockets up here. That's the only way you can describe it. Just beautiful, if that makes sense. Okay. Right, what is there? She's given me the word wedding. Is there a wedding coming up, or is it a wedding just past? A wedding in the family, a big wedding, is what I want to say. She's given me like music playing. I can hear the music playing, and it's like people dancing. And I'm sure it's a wedding. I might be wrong, but she's given me the word wedding. So, and then she's given me this music. I don't know if that music would be wedding music, but okay. No, you can't take a wedding, okay. Okay, right. Do you have a memory of this lady at a wedding? Because she's definitely talking about a wedding, but she's she's showing me a wedding, and she's showing me a lot of people at the wedding, but it's like she's standing out. She's not the bride or anything, but she's standing out because of her beauty, if that makes sense. It's your wedding. Okay. Okay, as I say, she is standing out like a, I don't know, right from when she was young until she was quite sort of elderly, if that makes sense. She had this glow about her. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like doesn't, I mean, she was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but she had this beautiful aura about her. She was like, I don't know, it was just this very positive vibe about her, and she used to draw people in. People used to just naturally go to her. Does that make sense, Krish? It's like, and she's saying you have the same sort of aura that she had. She's saying that you are naturally, you're naturally kind, you're naturally understanding, you're naturally, you've got a lot of very positive attributes that she had, and she said you carry it very well, and you attract people to you. You attract the right people to you, if that makes sense, is what she's trying to say. She's very, very family orientated, and you are family orientated. She says you have a big family around you. She's not showing me anyone down from you, but she's showing me people around you, like more like brothers and sisters, and that sort of family, if that makes sense, Krish. Yes, I understand. Lots of people attract lots of people to me. Yes. Okay. Yes, and you have a big family around you. Brilliant. But she's saying sometimes, although you attract people to you, and you're very kind, and you're very sensitive and everything else, she says sometimes you can feel alone, if that makes sense. Sometimes you can feel, you can be in a crowd of 1,000 people, but you can still feel alone. And she's saying sometimes she felt that, and she says she knows that you feel the same sometimes. She says sometimes there's just not the person around that you want, so that you can talk to, if that you're sensitive, and I do feel alone. Yes, exactly. Okay, that's good. Not that it's good that you feel like that, but that's good you understand. Thank you. She's saying that sometimes, as I say, you wish there was a certain person around so that you could talk to them, you could unburden, if that makes sense. Yes, you feel, and she understands that you feel very alone, and she's trying to tell you that the person that you want to speak to, or you would like to have spoken to, is not there, but she's saying she is there for you. She says she understands exactly the way you feel. She comes and visits you in your dreams at times, especially when you are feeling lonely. And she says just call upon her and she will be there. She said speak to her. She says she may not answer you straight away, she says, but she will answer you. She will always answer you. She's also saying that you were close at one point. She's given me a closeness. I wish my auntie was still around so I could chat to. Yes, but this lady's saying that she's there for you. She will always be there for you, and to please speak with her, and she will answer you. Maybe not immediately, but she will answer you in the coming days. She said you will hear a record play. You will see, maybe hear someone speak about something and think, oh, or you'll see something in a magazine or a newspaper or something like that. She says that your answer will come that way. So yes, I'll leave our love with you, Krish, and a lovely, lovely lady. And as I say, she's sending lots and lots of love to you, and she wants me to sort of give you hands in prayer and sort of bow to you that way, if that can make any sort of sense to you. So thank you so much for taking her. Okay, right. Where am I? Ali Grace. Okay. Right, Ali. Ali Grace, Ali Grace, Ali Grace. Who have we got to come through for Ali? Oh, you're welcome, Krish. You're welcome. Right, Ali. Okie dokie. Right. Right, I've got the Five of Wands, and the Five of Wands is all about conflict, Ali. Has there been conflict in your life lately? Has there been tempers flaring? Has there been a bit of maybe disobedience around kids around you, or fighting, arguments, that sort of thing? Because that's what this card is telling me. It's also given me the heart chakra. Okay. It says you've got to work on your heart chakra. That's what the Five of Wands is telling me. Right. So yes, fighting. Okay. As I say, it's not too bad. It's just sort of arguments and rows and disagreements, that sort of thing. But it's basically I've got a voice just coming in my head saying it's getting on her nerves. So it's obviously really starting to rile you, Ali. It's really starting to get to you, hearing everyone bickering and fighting and arguments and everything else. It's getting to you. It's what this lady's saying. I've got a lady's voice saying it's getting to her. It's getting to her. Okay. Right, this lady, right, let me see. Okay. Do you I've got right, this lady, I think this lady was a spinster. Was there an older spinster maybe passed in your family? So she was never married, and she was, I want to say she was quite religious, because she's showing me I think it's a rosary. She's giving me beads with a cross on, which I think was a rosary. I'm not up on that sort of thing, but I would say it's a rosary. What I believe would be a rosary. It was definitely a religious thing anyway. Excuse me. Okay, right. This lady says it exactly the way it is. There's no beating around the bush with her, and she's telling me basically to tell you that yes, you're getting sick of it. She's saying, but remember, the worm turns. So in other words, I think what she's trying to say is you're going to get so sick of it that you're going to end up turning on them, if that makes sense. Put your foot down, is what she's saying. You need to put your foot down, stop the argument. It's easier said than done. She knows that. She says, because she's seeing it. But she's saying something short and sharp and meaningful. Short, sharp, and meaningful needs to happen to stop them from bickering, if that makes sense. As I say, this lady talks exactly the way she sees things, and she's saying that these people need to these right, go on. These people need to, right, okay. She's saying they need to stop, basically, for your health. Are you getting stressed out about it? Are you getting because she's saying it's making you ill. It's making you ill, having to sit and listen to them the whole time, and them not listening to you. And when you're trying to tell them to stop or whatever, they just go harder at it. Basically, they're just totally ignoring. You just go straight over their heads when you try and stop them. And she's saying that they're quite. She says that they're old enough to know what they're doing. They're old enough to know exactly what they're doing, exactly what they're saying. And she's saying it's coming across like, well, they don't care. But she said, but they do. She said, but it's coming across like they don't care, if that makes sense. Yes, you have cancer. Okay. And I think this is what she's meaning by, excuse me, I've got a right frog in my throat. It might even be from her. She maybe had problems with her throat. Okay. She's saying it's coming across like they don't care because they don't know how to handle something. And I believe that would be your cancer, if that makes sense. They don't know how to handle it. So it's coming across like they don't care. But in actual fact, it's stressing you out so much that it's actually, it's just making you feel down. It's making you feel stressed, and it's just not good for you, Ali, at all. Something needs to happen for them just to be put in their place to get them to stop, is what she's saying. And she's coming through because she's quite concerned about you. She's concerned that she said they need their heads smacking together, basically, is what she's saying. She's actually showing me two heads being smacked together. So that's what she's saying. They need to have their heads smacked together and realise exactly what they're doing, and the grief that they're giving you, if that makes sense. She's not coming through with anything to help you stop it, if that makes sense. But she's coming through to let you know that she is there. She is aware of this going on. She is aware of how it's stressing you out, and she is aware of how they're misbehaving, if that makes sense. To her, they are misbehaving. And as I say, they are old enough to know better. It's not like they're little kids anymore, if that makes sense. So she says they are old enough to know better and they should be stopping. But she's saying, you need to not get involved. She said that's easier said than done. She says that not getting involved, she says you try not to get involved, and try to, when you need space, go and do your own thing. Get away from the fighting, get away from the arguing, and just go and do your own thing. And yeah, they're really misbehaving. She says, although sometimes you're not in a position to be able to just walk out, she says just try and walk out, even just go for a walk. She says, and it'll give them enough of a fright, if that makes sense, for them to come to their senses to stop the argument. And that's the only advice that she can give at the moment. But I will leave her love with you, and she's sending you lots and lots of love, Ali. And as I say, she's sending you lots of healing as well. And she's not the only one that's sending you healing. She says there's quite a few of them up there. She says that's all sending you healing. So I will leave her love and their love and healing sent to you. And thank you so, so much for working with me. Okay? Okay, right. Excuse me. Oh, that was awful. I don't know if it's that ginger juice that's doing that to me or not. I'm going to try water, I think. Right, let's have a look. Right. I see. Right, Jade Alice. Jade Alice. Let's have a look and see. Right, Jade, if you're still here. Okay. Right, Jade. I have Three of Swords, okay? And the Three of Swords can mean, I get that you're quite spiritual, because I've just had the words third eye. Yeah, third eye come into my head, so it means that you're spiritual. Okay, I would. Right, Jade, if you're still there, okay, if you could just say that you're there at the bottom, it would be helpful, please. But in the meantime, as I say, I'm getting that you are quite spiritual yourself, as I say, because she is giving me like a third eye, and I'm saying she, so I've obviously got a female saying the words. Okay, the Three of Swords is quite an unhappy card, heartbreak card, that sort of thing. Grief, sorrow, confusion, that sort of way. But that's not necessarily what I'm going to read for you, because as I say, I've got this lady coming in, and she's coming in on a motherly link, and my voice is going, a motherly link. So I either have mum here or someone who was like a mum, if that makes sense, Jade. This lady, she's talking about a perm. Don't know why she's talking about a perm, but she's given me that she liked perms in her day. She had quite, I want to say, longish sort of hair down to here anyway, and she had it permed, and she liked keeping her hair nice. And as I say, it was permed. It was when perms were popular, if that makes sense. Do you understand that at all, Jade? I think my voice is going. I've just finished having a upper respiratory infection. I hope my voice don't go. Yeah, that could be your nana. Okay, right. Well, as I say, she's talking about perms. She's talking about how she had perms back in the day, and there was like a not a frizzy perm as such, but she's actually what she's actually showing me is actually quite a nice hairstyle for back in the day. It's and I believe that she's showing me when she was maybe in her 40s, if that makes sense. But she lived, I want to say she lived till her 70s. And she's showing me, in fact, she's not showing me, she's making me aware of the smell of smoke. But the thing is, she's not actually showing me her smoking, but I'm smelling smoke. So she either smoked or your granddad smoked, someone around her smoked, because she's giving me the smell of smoke, if that makes sense. So that doesn't mean to say that, as I say, she was on either my dad's or mother's side, okay. Someone around her smoked, or if she didn't smoke, because there's a strong smell of cigarette smoke. Okay. There's also a strong smell of coal fire. I'm smelling the coal fire. So there was obviously, you know, that smell of you know, when a coal fire has just been lit and it's like just a burning, woody, coal fiery smell. That sort of smell I'm smelling. So obviously, in fact, she's showing me down on her hands and knees cleaning out the fire. Okay, so she obviously had a coal fire in the house, and this was one of her major tasks every day, was getting the coal fire going to heat everyone up. Okay, right. My paternal grandmother passed away this year, aged 98. Wow. And my maternal side passed at 48, and she smoked. Okay, this is maybe why she was showing me in her 40s. I picked up that she was in her 60s when she passed, but that maybe it was I maybe picked that up wrong then. Okay, right, that makes more sense. Okay, this is why she was showing me in her 40s. That was the age that she passed. Why did I get 60s? Did she go downhill very quickly and look older than what she was the last year or so of her life? Because that's where I'm getting muddled up. As I say, she definitely showed me in her 40s, and I should have picked up that was. I didn't. So apologies. Especially if, as I say, she went downhill that last wee while, and as I say, she looked older. Okay. I believe she passed of a cancerous condition. She's given me a big C, which to me means the big C, if that makes sense. Yes, she had cancer. Okay. Okay. She was actually quite a hard worker. You know, she everything she did, she says she done for her family. In fact, she's showing me her hands, and her hands are actually sore. I'm not quite sure why she's showing me her hands like this, but they're actually like open sores, like dermatitis on her hands, if that makes dermatitis or eczema or something on her hands, even sort of on the palms of her fingers here, you know, the front bits of her fingers. It's like really sore and open and like weeping, if that makes sense. As I say, and I'm not quite sure why she's showing me that. As I say, whether she had asthma or not, I don't know. Okay. Okay. I actually don't think. I think that's why Three of Swords came out. I actually don't think she had the happiest of lives. I will have to ask my mum about hands. Okay. I actually don't think that the card actually came out, I think, for her rather than you. I actually don't think she had the happiest of lives. I think she was, she's talking about a lot of stress. She's talking about a lot of worry. She's talking about a lot of struggles, if that makes sense. And that's what I believe that the Three of Swords came out for, to represent her rather than you. And as I say, she's talking about, as I say, she suffered on and off throughout her days with ill health. As I say, she wasn't always the healthiest. And as I say, she just had a lot of upset and sorrow, and but that was just her life. She said that was the cards that she was dealt, if that makes sense, and she accepted that. But she wants you to know that she is in a happier place now. She's certainly not suffering anymore. She's happier. than she's ever been and ever likely to be. As I say, she says she's finally gone home, if that makes sense. So yeah, ask your mum about the hands and that. Also, I don't. Was she betrayed by her husband or betrayed by someone around her? Because she's given me the word betrayed. She's given me the word like betrayal, like she was betrayed, and it's like someone done the dirty on her. Someone like went behind her back, and I can't work it out if it's like her husband was maybe seeing someone else behind her back, or someone took her friendship and was just used her basically. She was in abusive relationships. Okay, right. That makes sense, because as I say, she's talking about betrayal. She's talking about being lonely. She's talking about sorrow, and all this led to her ill health, if that makes sense. Because she's saying she blamed it all on herself. She didn't have the best of upbringings. She didn't have the best of home lives when she was younger, and she was jumping from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship, thinking that she was in love each time, and each time it wasn't. And she realizes now in hindsight that that was the worst possible thing that she could have done for herself and for her immediate family, if that makes sense. But she's saying hindsight's 2020, and she's saying she's just glad that no one else after her are making the same mistakes. You know, if one of you have been in like an abusive relationship, sort of since her, once you've got out of it, you stayed out of it, and you haven't gone into another one the same, if that makes sense. And for that, she said she'll be forever grateful. She said, so even if she was put here to help teach all you a lesson of how not to behave, how not to do it, then she says she'd done her job, if that can make sense. As I say, she was a lovely lady. She gave everything her all. She gave these, as I say, these men in relationships, she gave it their all. She thought each one loved her, and she gave everything. And it was narcissists that she was taken up with, if that makes sense, and they just took pure advantage of the situation. So yeah, she's got a lot of love to give you, all, not just you, she says, but you all. There must be a few of yous, and she wants to give you all her love, and she wants you just to know that there's nothing to feel guilty about, is what she's trying to say. There's nothing, absolutely nothing to feel guilty about. Someone was feeling guilty about not the way she passed, but the way she was treated a wee bitty a few years ago. Someone's feeling guilty about it, and she's saying that there's no need to feel guilty. She said she loves every single one of you, and she just wants to leave her love and leave her blessings with you all, Jade, if that makes sense. I hope I've done her justice, because she was a lovely lady, but she just wasn't treated right at all. So as I say, I just want to leave her love with you, and thank you so much for working with me. Okie doke. Right, my voice is starting to go. My mum felt guilty because she couldn't get to her bedside in time. Okay, as I say, she come across with that someone's feeling a lot of guilt, and she doesn't want you to feel guilt. So yeah, right. Let's have a look and see who else. No, you're more than welcome, Jade. It was lovely working with you. Thank you. Right, let's have a look. Right, Shafa Al-Dabas. Shafa. Right, Shafa, if you're still there, if you could let me know, please. Right, Shafa. If you're still there, if you could just let me know, please. Yes, you're there. Good. Right, Shafa, I have the King of Cups for you. Okay, and the King of Cups is a pretty good card, I would say. It's all about like emotional intelligence, that sort of thing. It's all about trust and knowledge, and I believe, excuse me, I believe that you're a mature and emotionally stable person, if you can take that. And I have a gentleman coming in here saying, "Yep, just like me." So this gentleman is coming through on, I want to say, a father link, and he wasn't backwards in coming forwards. He was the type that would tell you exactly the way it was, and he was the type to, he's standing here with his arms crossed, like he's got a very, I can't think of the word. It's like, you listen to me because what I say is correct, if that makes sense. Shatha, he's like I don't want to say the boss, but I'm the head of the family, and you will do as I tell you, if that makes sense, Shatha. Does that understand? Do you understand any of that? As I say, I've got this gentleman here, and as I say, he's just standing with his arms crossed, with his shoulders back, as if to say, "Try me." That's what I get. It's like, "Try me," and not many people did try him. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, right. He is saying that he was a wealth of knowledge. He was a wealth of, yeah, just knowledge. He was knowledgeable about a lot of subjects. He was knowledgeable. He could talk to anyone about anything, if that makes sense. He could go on anyone's level. Didn't matter who they were. He could talk to them. Didn't matter whether they had nothing, or it could be the king of the country. He could get onto their level and he could speak to them. He could charm the birds from the trees, is what he's saying, when he wanted to. But he had to want to do it. He had to want to be like that, if that makes sense. He was quite a I want to say he was a man in touch with his emotional side. He was in touch with his emotional side. He didn't see it very often, but he was in touch with it. And he was very, he was always very mature, if that makes sense. He was always like very mature for his age. He was very, even when he was younger, he had like an old head on his shoulders, if that makes sense. But it was like, these are my rules. This is my house. You'll live by my rules, or you don't live under my roof, if that makes sense. That was just his way. Yeah, that was just his way. Does that make sense? Logical, question mark. Okay. Yeah, he was very logical. He was very that was just the way he was, as I say. And I want to say knowledgeable about a lot of things as well. As I say, he could talk. He's told me, as I say, he could talk to anyone on any level, if that makes sort of sense to you, Shatha. He's also shown me, right, he's showing me a thick gold necklace, and it is thick. It's a thick gold necklace. It's quite a longish, I'd say about 16, maybe 18 inch. That must be about 18 or 20 inch necklace, but it's thick gold. He showed me. Now, there's something on the end of it. What is it on the end of it? It's mostly the gold necklace that I'm seeing. And I believe this was passed down the family. I believe someone in the family has this necklace. It does have a pendant. I'm sure it's got a pendant on it. Hang on, 2 ticks. I'm not quite sure what this dog's up to. What are you up to? Yeah, it's got a pendant. It's showing me. Here's showing me a pendant. Right, out of there. Good girl. Right, as I say, and a thick gold necklace. As I say, it's chunky. And this has been passed down to, I think, a male in the family. It's actually a male necklace. The guy I used to know. Okay. Okay. Was he a fatherly figure? Because as I say, he's coming through on like a, I want to say like a fatherly link, if that makes sense. So was he like older than you, and sort of did he look on you as a daughter, or I don't know. I'm just getting this, as I say, he was very sort of fatherly, if that makes sense. And this is why he's saying about sort of living under his roof, and you do as I tell you when you live under my roof, or or there's two sides to the door, if that makes sense. As I say, he's quite stern, very stern, but he keeps still coming back with this wealth of knowledge. It's like he was very, not just knowledgeable, but that's the only way I can describe this dog. That's the only way I can describe it. As I say, he was knowledgeable. He knew a lot about everything. He could talk. He just keeps telling me that he could talk. I think at some point he did talk to someone quite. It's like he's trying to throw it out that he talked to. He's saying he could talk from people to very poor up to the kings, and it makes me think that he's trying to tell me that at some point he'd spoke to, I suppose it would be King Charles nowadays. Nowadays it would have been the Prince Charles at one point, that he spoke to him. At some point he'd spoken to, and he was quite proud of that fact, if that makes sense. If you can understand that, Shatha, at all. As I say, that's definitely what I'm getting. It's like that he spoke to Prince Charles when he was Prince Charles. And he was quite proud of this fact that he actually done that, because there's not actually many people that actually, as I say, get to like shake his hand and speak to him, and that's just what he done. He's also telling me that he's quite political in his thinking. In fact, quite political as a person. So I think maybe he was into politics as well. If you could maybe let me know if I'm on the right track, please, Shatha. As I say, he was quite, I think this is what he's trying to say, he's knowledgeable on politics. Okay, right, I'm getting somewhere now. Right, he was definitely sort of into politics, and he was like local councillor or one something along that lines in politics, and like run for local councillor and things like that. Does that make sort of sense to you? Yeah, this person is definitely around you. As I say, he came through on like a father figure link. That's what makes me, well, I thought it was like a father or a grandfather to start with, but then you says it was maybe like a guy that you used to know, and that's why I thought maybe it was maybe an older guy that maybe saw you as a daughter, or or he could be a father figure. If Shatha can't understand this, can anyone else understand what I'm speaking about? As I say, it was maybe picked up on someone else's energy rather than Shatha's. Anyone else understand? As I say, this man was, I want to say he was into politics, and as I say, he's come through on like a father vibration, maybe a stepfather, or apparently he's into his status. What does that mean, Shatha? Very well rounded. The gentleman that's came through, apparently he's into his status and very well rounded, and he has kids. Right. Okay, he hasn't mentioned kids to me, but he has. Well, if it's a father or a father figure, obviously he has got kids, but and he was talking about, as I say, staying in his house, and if you're staying in his house, you live by his rules. So yeah, he obviously had kids. So yeah, okay. I'd say he hasn't actually said that he's had kids, but the way he's talking, he's obviously got kids by the way he's saying that, because you would only say that to your children, really, wouldn't you? As I say, if you're staying in my house, you're in my rules until you leave, basically. You're saying that to your kids, okay. Right. So yeah, do you understand who it is then, Shatha? As I say, this he's given me like council offices. He's given me like a big wooden desk with a leather chair, and it's like that's the either office that he worked in, or as I say, he was running for a councillor of an area, or something. As I say, he was quite and as I say, at some point he's obviously spoken to the likes of Prince Charles or someone high up, if that makes sense, maybe the Prime Minister or something. Does that make this gentleman is in spirit, Shatha, not being you explain? Yeah, it's definitely in spirit, Shatha. As I say, I'm just getting the fact that he was very political, and that's what makes me think, as I say, he's either met Prince Charles or he's met a Prime Minister or something. As I say, he was a local councillor for some sort of borough or whatever, an area. And as I say, he was very knowledgeable, but he was quite strict at home. That's really all I'm getting. I don't know who he is. Okay. Anyone else understand who I'm speaking about? Does anyone else understand any of that at all? If not, I'll ask him to step back. He's here for a reason. Can you see the connection link to me? Well, that's what I'm saying. He came through on like a fatherly link. It's like a fatherly link. So if he's not your father, he's maybe your grandfather or an uncle that you would have looked up to as a father, or something like that. As I say, it's a fatherly link. So it's obviously someone above you. So that's how he's come through, Shatha. So someone, as I say, if he's not your father, it could be a stepfather, it could be an uncle that you would have looked up to, a grandfather, anyone that you would have looked up to would come through sort of on a fatherly link, if that makes sense. So yeah, that would be your link. So yeah, as I say, if anyone else can understand it, I'd appreciate you sort of speaking up. If not, it doesn't matter. I'll ask him to step back. But it's a shame because, as I say, he's come through for a reason. He's been through for the last 10 minutes or so, which is a shame. So you can't take him at all then, Shatha, no? Right. Right, well, he's here. 2 ticks, I stop this dog. Gracie. Oi, stop it, good girl. Right, what are you here to say anyway? Education is what his message is. Oh, you're asking what his message is. Okay. Education. He's saying education is important. Someone, you or someone around you, is thinking of leaving education. And he's saying, no, don't leave education. Education is important. Education is your future. Education is everything. You need education to get where you want to go. Someone, as I say, is doubting themselves and thinking that they're not good enough. And he's saying that you are good enough. You need to put your head down and do the work, and it will pay off in the long run. That's basically his message. That's why he kept going on about knowledge, because knowledge is king. Knowledge is king. I've got the King of Cups here. It's all about not just emotional intelligence, but intelligence. And he's saying, this gentleman is saying that education is king, and that's what you need. So yeah, that's his message basically. So I'll leave his love with you, Shatha, and thank you so much for letting me work with you. Okie dokie. Right, I'm gonna get going because my voice is going. As I say, I've just come. I've just come. I can't even think. My head's up my bum. Yeah, I'm just after having upper respiratory infection. So as I say, I feel my voice going for the last wee while. So I'm going to say cheerio and thank you all so much. But if you go over to my page, Sarah Mcgeachy Medium, I will be going live at some point, but not for the next couple of days. Give my voice a chance to rest again. But thank you so much, and I'll leave my love with you. Thank you. Right, how do I get over here? All right, let's have a look.